Hello and welcome back to my channel, guys. Today I'm gonna actually talk about a pretty serious subject. And actually, I know I'm always late. Apparently, this happened 3 years ago. I'm always late. I know, guys. But, now that I'm a part of the fandom and all the FNAF stuff, I didn't know this, and I feel like I have to address it as well because this is pretty serious. So right here, this is the channel from Prim's Crypt. Guys, make sure you go over there and you like and subscribe to this channel, guys. Now, let's check out what they're talking about right here because this is something that completely surprised me.
I usually wear some fancy makeup when I make YouTube videos because I enjoy making them and I want to look good while doing it, but this one, however, is not gonna be very fun to make at all.
I agree. It's not gonna be fun.
You see, in October of 2020, I released a video called Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is a horror masterpiece, where I not only applauded said game, but also its lone developer, Scott Cawthon. His story of turning harsh criticism towards his earlier games into fuel for making new and better ones is still very inspiring to me personally, and I stand by what I said about him being a good example to look to when trying to grow as a creator. But something has changed.
Exactly, guys. I agree with not giving up and pushing forward. I think that's the example I want to set in my channel, especially for a lot of young viewers. Just because the road gets hard doesn't mean you should give up. Keep pushing forward because giving up is literally when you lose. And we don't want to lose. We're not losers here, guys. We're winners.
Since I made that video. And since it is my most popular video to date by a long shot,
nice.
I don't want people to watch it and think that I'm in any way endorsing what has been revealed about Scott Cawthon recently. So,
okay.
Let's get really disappointed together, shall we?
Let's go.
10th, 2021. Twitter user I Am Griffoneer shared a list of politicians that Scott Cawthon had donated money to between September 2015 and August 2020. The list came from OpenSecrets.org,
OpenSecrets.org.
Federal Election Commission. Let's take a closer look at some of the names on that list.
Okay.
And for the sake of fairness, we'll primarily look at things they said and did around the time of Scott's donations. After all, it's hard to judge someone based on things you don't know about or that hasn't even happened yet.
Okay.
The first one is Ben Carson, one of the Republican candidates who ran in the 2016 US presidential race. Apart from claiming plain ludicrous things like many Americans are stupid and Obamacare is the worst thing that's happened to the United States since slavery, Carson has an extensive history of saying nasty stuff about LGBTQIA people in particular. In his 2012 book, America the Beautiful, he wrote that marriage equality is a slippery slope with a disastrous ending, as witnessed in the dramatic fall of the Roman Empire. Damn, I guess the gays are just that powerful. Who am I kidding? I already knew that.
Bro! Damn, ads interrupted me.
In March 2015, Carson said that being gay is a choice, which is proven by the fact that straight people who go to prison come out as gay. He apologized for the statement not long after, but I don't know. It rings kind of hollow to me when...
Okay, first of all, I cannot give a strong opinion on this. Obviously, not educated enough to give my opinion on any of this. But at the same time, this is straight up hate, bro. And I don't agree with hate. I don't care if you're just straight up hating on people, no matter who they are, where they come from, but why? Why? And that's exactly, let me put this straight. There's a lot of things that I don't understand because I'm an OG, old school person. I'm a boomer, guys. So there's a lot I don't understand nowadays. But to hate people because of their beliefs, to hate people because of how they carry their life, that's their own business. And I really feel like it's not up to us to judge anybody. That's why I say everybody's welcome to my channel. I love everybody. And if you show me love, I show you love back. I don't care anything about anything. We're all people and I love you all equally.
Now, Scott didn't just donate money to Republicans. In
Okay.
2015, he donated money to Indiana governor candidate John Gregg and his running mate Christina Hale, both
Okay.
Democrats. Another Democrat he donated money to was Tulsi Gabbard, who
Oh,
ran for the
yeah.
Democratic candidacy in the 2020 presidential race. At first glance, this seems odd.
Okay.
Gabbard endorsed Bernie Sanders back in 2016. She was kind of popular among actual leftists. Why would someone with such seemingly left-leaning political views interest someone like Scott, who, by his previous donations, seemed to be leaning heavily to the political right? A video by the lovely YouTube channel Renegade Cut might have the answer. Not only did
Yeah.
Gabbard herself identify as a centrist, apparently Steve Bannon, who worked as the chief strategist and senior counselor to the president during 8 months of Trump's presidency,
Wait, what?
loved Gabbard.
Yeah?
There's a video from February 2020 where he straight up says that he would vote for her.
She represents America First national security policy. She's very populist on her economics. She's
Oh.
an American nationalist when it comes to the way she puts the country first in international affairs, and she may be even more of a little bit isolationist, which is
So
the
she's
kind of
just
ruling part
pretending?
of the Trump side.
Yeah, when you put it like that, it sounds like she's straight up conservative, doesn't it? It's also worth noting that, according to Renegade Cut, Gabbard was the only Democrat who didn't vote either yay or nay during Trump's impeachment trial.
Oh.
I know what some of you might be thinking. No politician is perfect. Scott might have just picked the ones that he thought were the least bad.
Okay.
And, I mean, no one forced him to donate anything to any politician, but yeah, that might be true. But when one of the people that Scott donated money to was President Donald Trump himself,
Oh.
I don't think that he could have looked very hard for alternatives. Do you need a refresher of all the fucking things he said and done?
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs.
Holy
they're bringing
snap.
crime.
Okay.
They're rapists. I want to build a wall. Talking about Gitmo, right? Guantanamo Bay. Which, by the way,
Okay.
we are keeping
Okay.
open.
I don't wanna.
Keeping open.
I don't
We're
wanna.
load it
I'm
up
gonna
with
get
some
angry if I
believe
keep
me, we're
seeing
gonna
all
load it
this.
up
So
with
I'm just gonna.
My name is Scott Cawthon, and I approve this message. On June 12th,
Oh.
10 days after I Am Griffinier's Twitter thread was posted, Scott Cawthon logged on to Reddit to comment, sadly proving that the news were neither fake or that they actually
Oh,
concerned
so
some
he
other
straight up
guy who
confirmed to
happened have the same
himself.
name and occupation. Here's what the very real Scott Cawthon had to say for himself.
I exercise my right and my duty as an American citizen to vote for and support the candidates who I felt could best run the country for everyone. And that's something that I won't apologize for. Even if there were candidates who had better things to say to the LGBT community directly and bigger promises to make, I believe that their stances on other issues would have ended up doing much greater harm to those communities than good. All of this explanation, I fear, is wasted as people don't want to discuss with
Holy
one another
snap.
anymore. They want endless apologies and submission. People who are expecting this from me will get neither. I'm a Republican. I'm a Christian. I'm pro-life. I believe in God. I also believe in equality and in science and in common sense. Despite what some may say, all of those things can go together. That's not an apology or a promise to change. It's the way it's always been. If I get canceled, then I get canceled.
Holy
These are
snap.
just some parts of the post that I wanted to put some extra focus
This
on.
is so
If you want to
surprising.
read the whole thing, there's a link in the description. Reading this is honestly a little heartbreaking. It's been clear for many years that Scott genuinely tries to be a nice person. Frankly, I don't think I've seen any developer who has been so
Holy.
kind and supportive towards his fans.
Because it's
Giving
money.
to a literal fascist like Donald Trump, to a political party that time and time again has proven to be aggressively against the LGBTQIA community that Scott claims to support, is such a counteractive use of that kindness. It hurts that he supported those politicians.
Yeah,
But it
dang.
hurts even more that he did it out of a sense of sympathy for marginalized groups. While publicly contemplating on Twitter if I should remove my previous video about Scott, in the light of these news, I was confronted by someone who pointed out that Scott has actually donated way more money to various charities, as if that would outweigh the harm that he has done. I don't want anyone to harass this commenter, so I will keep them anonymous. While I don't agree with that logic at all, I was intrigued enough to check out a list of which I assume are only some of the instances where Scott has donated to charity. While it's true that he has donated way more to these charities combined than he has donated to the GOP, something became immediately apparent.
Yeah, but this is
The
pennies for him.
donations, while obviously very generous, seemed to mostly have been given to organizations like the World Wildlife Fund and St. Jude, as in wildlife preservation and medical research. Donating money to either of these causes doesn't negate the harm Scott's support of the GOP will do to trans kids, or the unemployed, or those who are sick and dying of COVID-19.
Holy snap,
But
man.
even if Scott had donated money specifically to charities that help trans kids, for example, he would still have supported politicians that make those charities necessary in the first place. He wouldn't be fixing a problem. He would simply put a band-aid on a wound he'd be knowingly complicit in causing. Charity probably won't change Scott's political views either. There is a distinct difference, though. Scott is just one person. He developed the Five Nights at Freddy's games mostly on his own. So when you buy one of those games, you know exactly who's standing behind the counter. It's not a system or a company that needs to change. It's the person. And he clearly doesn't want to. That's fine. I mean, it's actually horrible. But he has the right to stand his ground and keep on donating money to animate garbage masquerading as lawmakers if he wants to. What you do with that, and how you let it influence your future video game purchases, is of course entirely up to you.
I don't know. Guys, my God. This is so crazy for me to learn, guys. I don't know. Guys, how do you feel about this? I don't know. This is so shocking to me. This is so shocking, so surprising. How do people still even support the FNAF games? I don't know. I don't know. Let me give you an example on my part. The only example I know how to give is my own story, my own people, my own culture. Like, a lot of people don't know anything about this. Okay, so this channel is called AJ Plus in Context. Guys, make sure you go over here, you like and subscribe. But the only way I could relate to all of this is my own experience. So obviously this is for educational purpose, but I just want to set my own point in how I feel about politics and everything. So let's take a look at the story of my people.
Take a look at this. It's the New York Puerto Rican Day Parade. What do you notice? Maybe the hundreds of people waving, wearing, and dancing with a Puerto Rican flag. So can you believe that in the 50s, waving that flag meant risking up to 10 years in jail or a massive fine?
Facts.
As part of U.S. efforts to suppress independence movements on the island.
Yeah.
See, this set of
That's my island, guys. That's where I come from. That's where I come from. That's my beautiful island. And this is, it's been taken away. And yes, that's why Puerto Ricans fly their flag proudly, because it was illegal. You might even been bodied. All right, let's keep.
Caribbean, with over 3 million people spread across it and almost 6 million Puerto Ricans living in the continental U.S., was once a Spanish colony. Spanish colonialism in Puerto Rico involved the exploitation of the island's indigenous people, the Taino, and enslaved Africans brought there to mine gold. If you've ever heard a Puerto Rican refer to themselves as Boricua, it stems from the Taino word Boricua.
I'm a Boricua.
Which is what the Taino called Puerto Rico. But after a brutal war over a century ago, Spain gave control of Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines to the U.S., expanding the U.S.
Educational,
empire.
if you guys didn't know.
Puerto Rico never gained its full independence from Spain or the U.S. Instead, it's one of the oldest remaining colonies in the world.
It is.
And the US has done a lot of work.
Hey, that's where I'm from.
That reality.
San Juan.
Calling it a territory, a commonwealth, and even a protectorate, or making Puerto Ricans US citizens, which some historians believe was a disguise to force Puerto Rican men to join the military before World War
it's
I,
true.
or passing the gag law, which made it a crime to even mention independence.
We were totally oppressed.
US rule in Puerto Rico.
The purpose was not only to repress what was at that time a really explosive independence movement, but to also, through incarceration and repression, to shore up the vote for this new colonial arrangement.
This colonial arrangement Marisol is talking about is Puerto Rico's current status, a commonwealth or free associated state. Under this arrangement, Puerto Ricans living in the U.S. can vote for the U.S. president, but those on the island can't. To make matters worse, those living on the island have no say in Congress.
We have no say. It's so
over them, and they heavily rely on U.S.
Literally, I don't even think they count our vote.
Has ensured that the U.S. looks after its own interests in Puerto Rico.
Not even here in America. So this is exactly how I feel I could relate, because my people were oppressed and still are oppressed to this day, guys. So when I see the government, especially the American government, oppressing groups that are, they just want to silence these groups, makes them disappear. You feel me? That's how I feel. I feel like that's not right, because I feel the pain that my own history, my own people went through, and they still go through these days, and people don't know about it. They stole our land. Literally, like they did it to the Native Indian Americans. They literally do that to the Puerto Rican people till this day. And nobody talks about it and nobody cares. But let's take a...
Authorities use the argument that the island would face unimaginable poverty without financial support from the U.S.
Dude, they totally
colonial status.
Oppress.
This is very bad. There's nothing. There's no work at all.
And that brings us to today.
The U.S. territory of Puerto Rico has giant debt troubles.
Announcing it was unable to pay its debts.
Goes in the middle of a $70 billion debt crisis.
The national debt in Puerto Rico is over $70 billion.
Economics in Puerto Rico is not for Puerto Ricans, but
it's not
for the U.S. and international capital.
A big reason Puerto Rico is in so much debt is that it doesn't have economic sovereignty.
It doesn't.
Instead, its currency is the U.S. dollar. Its businesses are overseen by U.S. federal regulators.
So now I just want to say, this is what my people have been going through. This is the suffering that people don't know because they don't educate themselves about other countries or anything like that. So listen, I understand the pain, bro. I really, really do. Now, this is a channel called Cognito, and this person made an amazing video talking about what's going on in Puerto Rico till this day, bro. Till this day. And I'm just going to show you a little bit, but it's actually quite a long video that everything they say here is facts. Now, let's make sure you like and subscribe in this channel. I totally agree with going to this channel and liking and seeing the video. I'm only going to show you a little bit because it's a really long video, but it's super important for me personally that people know about this.
Shrinks the tax base, stunting any possible economic growth. More people of Puerto Rican descent live on the mainland US than on the island.
Facts.
Puerto Rican workers earn much less than their counterparts do in the States.
You gotta understand, they stole everything from us. That's why a lot of us make it over here to America, and we don't feel guilty about taking aid from America because they owe us. They took everything from us. Like I said, just like the Native Indians, bro.
A high cost of living and fewer federal benefits. Even after Bill Clinton's repeal of Section 936, Puerto Rico still offers massive tax breaks to corporations. Manufacturers, mostly big pharma companies, extracted $100 billion in tax breaks from 2017 to 2023. But now the government is begging the ultra-wealthy to come live on the island. A law, Act 60, offers wealthy Americans tax exemptions from federal and local taxes, capital gains tax, and taxes on passive income. This offer is not available to locals.
Crypto millionaires are flocking to Puerto Rico. That's because if you spend at least half the year on the island,
You're free of taxes on capital gains. What a deal.
The result is that the ultra-rich have swooped down to
They took everything from us.
Puerto Ricans devastated by Hurricane Maria and years of austerity.
So we had a big hurricane in 2017, and that was amazing for the island.
Brock Pierce,
dude, how horrible to say that.
Relocates to Puerto Rico in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria.
I only casually observed Brock Pierce's entry into Puerto Rico and claims that he was going to make it into a crypto utopia. But I'm well aware that the reason to go to Puerto Rico is for the tax benefits.
I'm clearly not here for those economic incentives. The stuff that I'm interested in is things like helping Puerto Rico.
Yeah, sure.
This has created hyper-segregated communities of ultra-wealthy tax dodgers.
It is.
The eroding of the Puerto Rico millions of normal, working people once loved. The purpose of Act 60 was to create jobs, but the result has only been a handful of cleaning, hospitality, and other low-paid, unstable jobs.
Straight up modern-day slavery.
Legally public and open to all are now being privatized by wealthy crypto.
Everybody's stealing our land till this day. Nobody hears about this.
While those Americans seek out a tax shelter in Puerto Rico, they're driving up the price of rent by 600%.
They have.
Infrastructure that failed with deadly results during Hurricane Maria is still desperately underfunded. Infrastructure continues to deteriorate while exclusive hotels spring up and millionaires demand docking space.
The rich are buying everything and taking it.
Where Puerto Ricans earn $30,000
and making it exclusive for them.
The median home listing is over $900,000.
I'm moving to Puerto Rico. So I feel like people are wondering why.
This one's the worst one.
How random. Yeah. Taxes. It's one vertical. Yeah. It's one.
Figures like Logan and Jake Paul have moved to the island.
I hate it.
Taxes while abusing the local environment.
Yeah.
Billionaire vulture fund investor John Paulson, who made billions off the 2000.
Billionaires are living in my country, and I can't even live there because I can't afford it.
Puerto Rico's debt is using Puerto Rico's distress to buy land and resort properties on the cheap.
Why did Paulson decide to buy up all this land?
It was cheap. Prices were plunging, so he could get it for pennies on the dollar.
The Puerto Rican government has used brutal force to crush any resistance.
It has. Till this day. This is modern day, bro. This is straight up modern day.
Puerto Rico is now the 5th most unequal place on earth.
It is.
For centuries, Puerto Rico's wealth has been extracted, its labor exploited, its people sacrificed. It has been a tax haven for the rich, a testing ground for experiments, and a dumping ground for toxic industries. When Puerto Ricans demand independence,
nobody knows this.
Bullets. They live as second-class citizens with no political power, pushed out of the homeland they clearly love.
I love it, and yeah, it's facts.
Have fewer rights, while people work multiple jobs just to survive.
At the end of the day, a lot of us, including me and a lot of you out there, we just want to chill, we want to play our games, and we want to live our life freely. But this type of thing and supporting these kind of oppressors, that's what it is, oppressors. So all this goes full circle. It really surprises me. This whole story just really surprises me.
Not your responsibility as a consumer to change the unethical nature of the video game industry, though. You can try and vote with your dollar as much as you like, but it won't change the system. And in this particular case, it probably won't change Scott's political views either. There is a distinct difference, though. Scott is just one person. He developed the Five Nights at Freddy's games mostly on his own. So when you buy one of those games, you know exactly who's standing behind the counter. It's not a system or a company that needs to change. It's the person. And he clearly doesn't want to. That's fine.
Dude, like, I don't know. This is all, that's why I say, guys, I know a lot of you are young, but I know a lot of you are also teenagers, and the FNAF community is a community I've grown to love so much. But I'm not gonna lie that how everybody's getting oppressed and everything is going on right now, it kind of gives me some pain. It really does, because of my history, my people, and how we've gone through this pain. So I feel that. I feel that. That's why I made this video, guys, because this is new to me. And I just couldn't ignore the fact. I couldn't ignore it. I couldn't. So that's why I made this video, guys. It's just a strong subject for me. 3 years old, because I'm always late. And I'm usually a fun and I love fun and chaos and all that. But this is a serious thing. I'm like, I mean, at the end of the day, this is my opinion, and I'm probably not going to change the world anyway, and the story of my people and myself are never going to change. All we could do is just live our life as best as we can. But like I said, guys, I love all of you. I don't care about anything, just that fact that you're good people, and you show me love, I show you love. I love all of you equally, guys. But yeah, this is just me reacting to something that obviously I'm late to learn, but this is my raw reaction on how I feel about it. Thank you guys for being awesome. Actually, for real, thank you guys for being an amazing community. And I'm always going to be here for you, no matter who you are, where you're from. We're always going to share that love. Peace out, guys.